Justin, thank you. We'll see you in a little bit. Reports swirling that former President Donald Trump's skipping out on the first Republican debate here in Milwaukee. Plus, there's trouble brewing in the state Supreme Court over whether the bench's newest justice should recuse herself over a redistricting lawsuit. CBS 58's Emilee Fannon, WisPolitics editor J.R. Ross discuss in tonight's Capital Connection.
We are just days away from Republicans descending on Milwaukee for the first Republican primary debate. Now, taking a look, there has so far been 8 candidates that have qualified to participate. But as you can see on your screen, there is a question mark around former President Donald Trump's name because there have been reports that he is likely going to upstage this event. He's not going to show, might participate in an online forum with someone else. But JR, this is not so much of a surprise because for weeks Trump has downplayed attending, have a lot of conservatives and a lot of news stations talking about this because he cited for many weeks that I'm leading the polls. History shows that if you're leading the polls, you don't participate this. But this also will impact the other candidates on the stage that they won't also get a shot to take a shot at Trump. You know, right now he has a lot of legal troubles. He was named in his 4th indictment. He has next week where he has to turn himself in. So there's a lot of news circulating him. But this is almost a perfect picture because this is what Trump does.
Yeah, he's excellent at getting media attention and drawing it toward him away from others. I mean, look at this past week, there was a report about Ron DeSantis, for example, and his kind of like the super PAC supporting him, giving him advice on how to go about this. And it was, don't attack Trump. It was defend Trump and like do other things. It's the quandary that all of them are in. Trump is extremely popular, the part of the base. If you attack him, his supporters feel personally attacked. So how do you approach, how do you take him down a peg and elevate yourself without alienating the folks who love him so much? It's really a challenge for them right now, barring a dramatic change in the durability of that support in the Republican Party for Trump.
Right, and I talked to organizers for the debate, RNC officials that have really talked about, you know, for weeks, regardless if he shows or not, we're going to put on this event where it's it's really good for the party in itself, but it's also going to be very successful for Milwaukee. You know, the Milwaukee Host Committee estimated 7,000 people are going to be coming to the area on Wednesday, not just for the debate. There's going to be a massive vendor fair, and it's the first meeting for Republicans and delegates coming to prepare for the 2024 Republican National Convention.
It's also a reminder, if Trump is not the nominee in August of 2024, he will find a way to pull attention away from this convention toward him. That's just what he does.
Now, looking ahead to next week, JR, is kind of more fallout from the state Supreme Court. We know conservatives are still very frustrated and upset over a series of actions that liberals took on the court right after Janet Protasiewicz was sworn into office. There was new complaints filed this week, arguing over the firing of the former state directors of courts. But looking into next week is the redistricting case, where justices will be able to weigh in on whether or not they will accept that. Now, I think we know they're going to, but it kind of upset one conservative justice in particular who's had some testy exchanges in an order about kind of almost looking ahead to what is to come with this decision. So what are you watching for?
Well, Rebecca Bradley bases foregone conclusion. The court issued an order saying we want to hear from the parties by this coming week about whether we should take the case. Bradley says this is a waste of time, essentially. We know what's going to happen. Oh, by the way, these 4 liberals I serve with are going to redraw a map to give advantage to Democrats. She is teeing up a number of things. One, took shots at Janet Protasiewicz, saying she does not recuse herself from this case. Brought up she got $10 million from, in Bradley's words, the Democrat Party, not the Democratic Party, the Democrat Party. That is grounds for to recuse. Brought up a U.S. Supreme Court ruling from about 2 decades ago about a West Virginia judge who got $3 million from a party in front of him in a case that he should have recused. Basically, she's sending a signal about a couple things. One, a pressure campaign in Protasiewicz to say you shouldn't serve on this case, even though the Democrats are not a member or part of the case yet. 2, saying I'm going to be raising this issue. And 3, sending a message to Republicans of, okay, look, whatever comes out of this court with these maps, if we take the case as she expects and something new comes up, you may want to think about going to the U.S. Supreme Court and saying whatever came out of this court is not valid because she heard this case. Much like the Caperton case, you should use this as a kind of a way to get the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, a couple things to point out. Again, the party's not a party to the lawsuit. Can you draw a bright line, though, from the party to the party's candidates who would benefit from the maps? That's a big question out there. 2, for all the kind of like indignation in Bradley's dissent of this order, she's heard cases involving a lawyer who wrote a letter of recommendation for her. Conservatives have heard cases involving Wisconsin Manufacturers of Commerce, which is a big player in Supreme Court races. They're not pure on this issue, but it all might be about, can they delay things enough to keep these maps we have now in place for 2024 and give Republicans an option to fight another day, like one more time to get past this next cycle with the maps they currently have.
Right, and it basically kind of lays the groundwork for Republicans. Hey, look at this order. Here's a possible idea in the future, like you said, to push it back, because we know the redistricting case wants new maps before the 2024 election, which is a very tight timeline, but possibly doable. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, thanks so much for joining us this week. We'll see you next time.